Hello, this is Nathan Neese, and I wanted to show you uh, Fusion 360, an Autodesk product. I use it in my scientific entrepreneurship and design class, one of the classes I teach. So you have to go to Autodesk. So to get started, you have to log in. Go to autodesk.com, and if you'll go to the educational products, you can download and open up and have access to this computer-aided drafting program for free for 1 year for educational purposes. So you do have to create a login, and so you sign in there. There is a brief tutorial on how it works, on how signing up works. So let me show that. I won't show all of it.
The Autodesk Education Plan gives eligible students and educators single-user access to Autodesk software and learning tools to help them build the skills and knowledge needed to begin a meaningful career. The Education Plan includes free access to Autodesk Desktop, Cloud, Web, and mobile products and services available through the Education Community website. The Education Plan simplifies software access, requiring just a single once-a-year renewal of eligibility to extend access to all available products. Getting started is easy. Go to the Get Products page to explore available products. Click Get Started. If you are an existing user, sign in to your account. If you don't have an Autodesk account, you'll have the option to create one. Select your country, education role, institution type, institution name.
So you can see that it goes step by step through the registration process, creating an account, and so it's a very good tutorial for the teacher and for the student to create, verify the account, and then have access to the 1 year renewable product. So that's how you get to the product. Then what you have is, once you get the product, it's called Autodesk Fusion 360. Gives you an educational license, and what it allows is you and your students to create basically sketches of three-dimensional, of objects, and then you can change those into three-dimensional objects, whether that's rectangular shapes, whether you want to create some kind of circular pattern. Let's see, one of the things the students had to create just recently was a wheel to use as part of a different project. So they created a rectangle, made a little bit smaller rectangle, cut a piece out of it, and then if you can revolve that around and create a wheel. Then they had to create a place to put an axle, so they created another sketch on the center, and they can cut that out. And so there's lots of different ways that this can be used, but they created a wheel, and then we also have these attached to our 3D printers, and so they can actually print these objects out in limited quantities and see how they actually work. So some of the things that we started with were basically just some pretty simple designs, rectangular shapes, cutting holes in them, and let's see. Oops. Okay, so they start with the basic rectangular shape design. They can cut pieces off of it, create holes in them. So that was where we started, with some simple geometric designs. Most of them started with a rectangular shape. They cut pieces off, created holes through them. So that was that. Let's see. Then they also had to. We created a puzzle, and so they had to create 5 different pieces of a puzzle that made into a cube, and so that was one of the end products, was a puzzle cube, and they had to show how the different pieces fit together. So they actually had to like assemble it in the computer program, and then they physically made this product, and and shared it with their friends and neighbors. Let's see. Next up, we used it to create a train. So they had to create this toy train. And once they created each of the pieces, then they had to pull all of those pieces into a single document and then assemble the train. So they made each of the wheels, they made the train stack, they made the cow catcher, they made the linkage arm, they created the little pegs to hold the wheels in place. Then they had to create a piece of track and put it all together on the train track. So that was one of the projects that they did. Let's see. They had to then create their own. So this was, using some videos and some other documents to create those. Then they had to create their own car to fit on the end. One girl wanted to create some flowers, so she figured out how to create a flower, and then she used those flowers on her final train assembly. So they can change the colors, change the materials, and so she made her flower and put it in the back of her train car. So one of the other things is that the students were working with the physics class, and they had to create a plastic ramp that would attach to a long piece of aluminum railing, and then that would allow a ball bearing to roll down the aluminum track onto this assembly and off the table in a smooth motion. And this one they printed, and they had to test it in video showing that it worked. And so here's, so that was what it looks like on the computer program. This is what it looked like when it was printed. And then here it is in action. They did a slow motion video. So here's the ball bearing, here's the aluminum track. And so you can see how it created a transition for the ball to roll off horizontally. So that was their design challenge, was to work with the physics class so that the ramp could attach to this transition piece, and the ball would roll down and off smoothly and horizontally. So that's the use of Fusion 360. When the students create their designs, I've made a class folder where they can drop their designs into a folder, and then I have access to that through my class, and so I can see their projects when they get finished. I can pull them up and look at them. So so the different students have their different pieces in here. All right, so that's how we can share the end products. We can print them out on a 3D printer and then use them in class for other purposes. All right, so that's my tool that I use in class, and it's a free download from Autodesk, and it's called Fusion 360. Thank you.